Um,
Clear your throat.
Jake was right. Last week, he mentioned that at the end of Loki, they would introduce the big villain for the next Avengers movie, and I didn't watch it, but apparently that's what they did. I don't know if it was the villain that he said it would be, but I guess you
Seems
can
to be
clarify.
this seems to be the consensus in the episode itself. They don't call him Kong the Conqueror, but he says people have called me a conqueror. So basically, what
Oh, you
happens
hear
there?
you hear his voice, and you see him.
Yeah,
Oh shit!
I actually can't wait to see what this actor does because the version he plays. So getting into the episode, at the end of the previous one, they found the spot. It's what do they call it? Like the chapel at the end of time or something like that.
Okay.
And Loki and Sylvie go up. They find the guy, the clock lady, the digital clock lady that sporadically appears throughout the show. Tries to convince them not to do it. He's like, they'll offer you these things if you'll turn back now, basically. And it's like
Mhm.
happy lives, what you've dreamed of, and shit like turning down temptation type of thing. And so they deny it. They go further. Door opens. Guys behind it. Straight up is just this jovial dude. Like,
This
asks
is
like,
at the
oh,
very end of the episode, or
this is at the very beginning of the episode where they meet
really?
him. The
Oh, that's
episode
cool.
centers around uh meeting him. They meet him
Uh
pretty
huh.
early within the first, I think, 10 minutes.
Uh huh.
And then big conversations talking about uh the timeline and its importance and why he's done it. It does basically confirm that the origin story of the TVA is by and large true.
Uh huh.
There was a um, multi-universal war, and this is just the guy that won it, basically.
Okay.
And so the reason that he like does all this shit with the timelines is to prevent variants of himself from appearing. So the big thing that happened, like, it's just like it's all the other timelines get pruned is like the series term, so that he remains the only one of him because he is the one, a scientist from like the 31st century, I think they say. He is
Uh
the one
huh.
that discovers multiple universes.
Okay.
And so he discovers that he finds different versions of himself. They communicate and all that shit, but eventually a war starts out because further off variants of him only see this like their discovery. They all make the discovery, but they some of them of himself only see the discovery as an opportunity to conquer. So he finds Eliath, the big fog monster that kills everything, and uh, ends the war with the
Okay.
power of Eliath, with all that, like, starts the TVA to make sure that no other versions of him besides him currently show up. And he offers um, Loki and Sylvie to take over for him, to literally be in charge of it all.
So that they can avoid any variants of themselves from
No, just to take over. Like, he's basically just like,
to keep the
it's,
timeline the way that it is.
yeah, for them to make the decisions, for them to do these things that he's been doing. And his reason is just straight up just like, I've been doing it so long. I'm old. I'm way older than I look. I'm tired. I just, and you get like, he does point out like everything that you guys have done up to this point. I know it. He proves that he basically knows everything to a certain point.
Hmm.
I've done it. I paved your way here because I've been searching for someone to replace me. It turns out it's two people. And then at some point in the episode, they hit the moment where he doesn't know what's going to happen. So like all of his power, like, and there's moments throughout it where like Sylvie and Loki attack him, and he like just evades them wildly, like back and forth. They can't lay a finger on him because he already knows what's going to happen,
Right.
predetermined all that shit.
So now why are they trying to attack him though?
Well, they've that's been the quest for Sylvie. It's been the quest to kill the person at the top.
Oh, I see, I see, I see. So and Loki's just going along with it because he's friends with her at this point.
Well, he want like his initial goal was to take over.
Uh-huh.
Throughout the series, he's kind of changed. Like, the point of the series is him changing as a person and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But so he's done that. The big fight is not between them and him. He's just acts as an observer. The big fight is between themselves, where Sylvie still wants to kill him, and Loki expresses like the idea of caution. He doesn't necessarily want to be the person in charge,
Mm-hmm.
he says, but he doesn't like. Basically, the guy says, if you kill me and you don't take over, then you're like, it's not going to literally kill me. All it's going to do is allow the different versions of me to start existing.
Right.
So it's like, and not all of them are so, and I think he sends a warning. It's like, and not all of them are so understanding as I am.
Mm-hmm.
So the big fight between Sylvie and Loki, all that shit goes down. Loki eventually gets tricked, sent out of the room. He doesn't die. He gets sent out of the area by Sylvie, and she kills him. So, like, Loki feels betrayed. Like, it's super sad ending. Like, and it does the end of it does confirm a season 2, but it is still like sad as fuck. All the character progression for Loki to kind of just end up as nothing, because like Sylvie basically betrays him because she can't get over her quest for revenge.
Yeah.
And then so he gets sent back to the TVA. He walks out of the room. He eventually spots Owen Wilson's character, Mobius. Goes up to him, starts explaining all the things that happened, only to then be confronted with the realization that he's not even talking to the Owen Wilson of the timeline
that he's been with.
Yeah, it's a different Mobius who's never met him. And so the series ends with, once again, Loki being alone, which they've kind of confirmed throughout the entire series is like the last thing he wants to fucking be.
Right.
So it's like he's made all this progress. Sad. Yeah, it's a really well-written show. He made all this, like, he finally made some friends. He did all these things. He did the best he could, and he still ends up alone.
And he loses the love interest that he had for the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, she's still alive, but...
They vaguely confirm that she isn't a Loki. Which... Vaguely. It's still up in the air. But I'm just because for episode 2 or 3, whichever one we talked about first, I threw up the theory that she's Enchantress, a different character that was like part of Loki's story. They still haven't said that for certain, but she does say that she is not one of, she says, I'm not you again, and she spent a whole lot of time saying that she doesn't want to be called a Loki. So I do think that part of her story is that.
So it does leave open the possibility that there is another Loki that is a girl, a woman, outside of her.
So like, yeah, so they're, I think, and they've still left it vague pretty much as to whether or not she's actually like female Loki.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was great.
Wait, so really she's Loki's love interest, and she's also possibly a female Loki.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, from the very beginning of the series, there's several different Lokis.
Yeah.
No, I know that, but I'm just I gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's either a very on the nose metaphor of self-love and like learning to accept yourself, or, as my theory is, she's not actually a Loki.
Gotcha.
But they've basically just left that up in the air still. They haven't confirmed one or the other. But at the very end of the credits, they do confirm a season 2. So it's going to be the one Marvel TV show that gets a season 2, apparently.
Yeah, I did see that. I saw that it gets a season 2, and then I thought immediately of you because we were talking about how I think you said you thought it would only be one season, right?
Well, that's because the other ones are only one season.
Yeah. I think.
So yeah, it was just because straight up I thought it would be one season, and it would be introducing the multiverse, introducing the big bad, which, oh yeah, that's the other thing. He realized that he's in an alternate timeline, or he's not in the same timeline because the statues in the TVA are now no longer of the Time Lords, which were like fake, but they're of the guy that he saw at the end of time. So he's now,
which was the Conqueror.
Yeah, so which is now, I think, the Conqueror. The guy that previous is like just the variant that won the original multiversal war.
Okay. So now he's basically...
But now it's he hid behind symbolism of the timekeepers and all that shit. And now we're facing a guy who's like, no, I'm the fucking winner. Like, it's a difference of, like, the aesthetic choice of those statues is like a person who doesn't want to be known versus a person who, like, wants the glory. And I think that's the important distinction.
So basically, we got she's the reason that we're getting this evil villain, pretty much.
Basically speaking, though, there'll probably be a point made at some point that it was an inevitability, because the dude was running it forever, and at a certain point, he only knew up to a certain point of what was going to happen.
Right.
But he knew the two Lokis would come. He knew all their actions that would take place up to a certain point, and then he didn't know anything beyond that.
I mean, it's good that they threw that in there, because I was gonna say, well, how doesn't he know that, like, he's gonna be the big bad and he's gonna be going against the Avengers in 3 years from now? How wouldn't he know that? But if they have that information in this episode, then it kind of like...
And it's not straight up him. As the same way that this Loki is not the one that technically died in what the fuck? The first Thanos Avengers movie.
Yeah.
But like, because
Endgame.
Endgame. So he's not the same Loki. He's a variant from the first Avengers movies that broke out of the prison. So it's not the same Loki that we're used to. It's a different Loki, surrounded by different Lokis. But
so it looks like is season 2 gonna be all about the Conqueror, and then they bring him in as the big bad, or are they gonna do? I mean, like, how do they go about it?
I think, honestly, they might choose, because he's already been confirmed as the villain of the next Ant-Man movie, and he might be the villain.
Don't even tell me. There's another Ant-Man movie?
Hold for Everything podcast.